Coming up for you in today's show, Dean will tell us which players to look out for the festive period in his feature, Dino's Diamonds. It's one of my favourite things to listen to you talking about is Dino's Diamonds. And then before that, we've got Max Rushton and Perry Groves from 9 o'clock with the warm-up as well. But first, let's head to Stamford Bridge for a West London derby. Chelsea welcome Fulham. Both teams find themselves in strong form. No side has picked up more points than Chelsea over their last 5 Prem games, while Fulham are unbeaten over the same stretch. Are Chelsea still in the title race? We can hear now from Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca, who still says his team are taking things one step at a time.
I like to think on the day by day. And it's not something that I say because I have to say that. It's because I really think that. Because it's the only way to improve me and to improve the players. It's just focus on what we can do better. In terms of training session, improve players and improve the team. This is the only main focus for me. And then in which moment we can think in something different.
I mean, I suppose Liverpool still have that game in hand, but Chelsea are looking good, and he's done a brilliant job. Joining us now, former Chelsea defender Scott Minto. Merry Christmas, Minto. How are you?
Morning, Scott. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys. How are we?
Yeah,
very
really
good.
Thanks.
Very good. Scott, I think he's done unbelievably well, the manager of Chelsea, to keep all them players in line without any signs of, normally things leak out the club. And obviously winning helps when you haven't got players knocking your door. But you've got to give credit where it's due. He's doing unbelievably well.
No, that's right, Dino. I heard you saying that just before. I mean, ultimately, it's all about winning, isn't it? If you win, you keep the walls from the doors, whether that's players, media, social media, hierarchy. But you've got to get those wins. How do you do that? Especially when Chelsea for the last 18 months or so have been, so topsy-turvy and gone down a completely different way. I do think, by the way, Poch could have done this. If you look at from here on in last season to the end of the season, Chelsea won the 4th most points in the Premier League. So I personally think he'd cracked it, but obviously they'd had problems with who's going to go. Poch didn't like it. They went. Maresca's come in. No real experience anyway in terms of being a manager. So what he did from pre-season, where he said, I just want to work, and I've got 40 odd players here. I just want to work with 25. This is what I'm going to do. And I genuinely think this is why Chelsea are where they are at the start of the season. And there's so much credit has to go to Maresca, because he literally has come in from nowhere and hit the ground running. They've been brilliant so far.
Well, and he turned the clock back to pre-season, like you just said. It was horrendous. It wasn't bad. It was horrendous at one point. And everybody was, like, including myself, we're thinking, like, they've got no chance of finishing anywhere near the top of the league. But right now, they're on 35 points, second in the league. What do you think is going to knock them out of that top 4? Or do you think they can stay in there all season?
I think the positives are, we've been here before sort of in terms of this season. I just mentioned about the second half of last season, what was very, very positive. I think the fact that Chelsea are in Europe, but are pretty much using a different 11. There's not that Thursday, Sunday thing to worry about where the same group of players are travelling, having that tough European game. With respect, it's not that way. So it's almost as if you've got a Premier League side and a European side, and that's a big, big positive for him. And I do expect, obviously, Chelsea to finish in the top 4 now and next season to be different. Mm-hmm. But I still go along with the fact of the current average age. The average age is about 23.8. The average age of a Premier League winning side of the last 10 years is 26.9, so basically 27. Okay. So it's great so far, the first half of the season, maybe even the 2/3 as well. But it's that, what it's like, that sort of business end of the season where not just physically you start to get a bit tired, but mentally the pressure's really on. What I would say is, if you look at the games that Chelsea have, you've obviously got Fulham at home today, which can be very difficult with it being a West London derby, but I still expect Chelsea being at home to win. You got Ipswich away, and then in January you've got Palace, Bournemouth at home, Wolves at home, and then Manchester City away. So that last game in January, if Chelsea win pretty much all of them or all bar one, and they go into February just a few points off Liverpool, I don't think even Enzo Maresca or myself can turn around and say they're not title contenders.
No, Scott, like you said there, we've sat in the dressing room. I mean, I know how I'd feel, and I think I know how you'd feel. If you were in that European team and not in the first team, you are in the dressing room, you're in the reserves. And it's how long they are prepared to sit there and accept that I'm not really going to play. Nkunku scored a hat-trick in Europe. And I think it was Europe or it was the League Cup or something.
Europe,
on the Saturday, he left him out. So at what point does Nkunku go like, well, hang on, no matter what I do, I'm the reserve centre forward, and I think it's remarkable how he's kept them all happy.
But Dino, it goes back to what you said, and it's absolutely spot on. He's winning. As long as Chelsea are winning, if anyone knocks on the door, that's all he has to say. Listen, we're winning. We're second in the league. We're dominating the Conference League. This is all that's happening. So as long as that's going on, no one from the outside or inside can have a go at him. But he knows come the end of the season, and maybe even next season, playing Champions League football and having that combination, that's going to be much tougher. But worry about that next season. Let's just think about this season, as he says, the very next game. And that way he can get away from any headlines that he may say about possibly winning the title.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like they're very much so in it. Like you say, he's always said one game at a time. His players speaking in post-match press conferences seem to say the same thing too. Fulham today, it won't be an easy test. Scott, you're heading to Wolves, Manchester United today for the 3 o'clock kickoff. No, sorry, 5:30 kickoff, that is, at Wolves. How do you see this one going? You looking forward to it?
I hope it's 5:30, because otherwise I might turn
You're
up.
late, buddy. You're late.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's a fascinating game, this one, isn't it? I mean, Wolves, as poor as they've been defensively, going forward, they've been scoring lots of goals. The new man has come in and just had a sensational result against Leicester. I mean, they would be, 7 or 8 points off Crystal Palace if they'd have lost that game. But they've won that game and are now just 2 points behind Leicester. So the confidence, the psychological confidence, as well as just what the table says, was massive. Up against a Manchester United side that, Ruben Amorim must still be scratching his head and saying, what is going on here? I mean, they've lost 3 of the last 4. They've only won 2 of 6 under Amorim. He is rotating it around. And I massively feel for him. But at some point, I think he's got to say, this is my 11 now. And I want to try and stick with it and see what happens there. But he does keep on making lots of changes. And for that reason, at the moment, I don't see anyone winning this game. I can see this being a score draw.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.